Well, hello YouTube, this is Kevin with Double D Construction, and welcome back. Today is a fantastic day, albeit we found an issue today, so not so great on that respect, but at the same time, luckily, I received my O-rings. So when I initially bought these, I couldn't figure out what size they were, and no one up here in Alaska carries metric. Well, I found a company here called Alaska Bearing. They've always been super awesome to me and to people that I've known. They've always taken care of people in this community. They do all kinds of stuff, from bearings, they do O-rings, they do all kinds of stuff. They had to special order them, but they did. They measured them out, they figured it out, and they ordered these in. So hopefully today we can put this awesomeness back together and get her on the road. So, quick backstory, I got everything almost finished. I hadn't gotten the top part done yet, so I wasn't gonna shoot a video until I showed the dozer being complete, and then I was gonna open it up and show you how I wired everything, because a lot of the videos show what people do. They never really show how it looks in there, and I know that a lot of it is because it's, to be honest, not very pretty. Mine looks like a rat's nest, but if you know what's going on, it's actually not too bad. And unlike what other people have said, I'm able to shove one of these back in there, or down in there, and sadly we couldn't fit the 9000, which was the goal. This guy right here, I was able to get this into that 870K. And if you guys are interested in that, please let me know in the comments below, and I'll be happy to talk a little bit about that in a new video if you'd like. But for now, we're going to cover this. My understanding is you couldn't fit these in here. Basically, we're limited to these guys, these little 5000 or 5200 batteries. A lot of guys talk about Genzace. I liked Electrons personally. I've had zero issues with them, and I like them a lot. I don't know that it really matters which brand you go with, other than just not cheap garbage. You want to make sure you get actual name brands. This one's a Power Hobby. I think this is the biggest of this style that my hobby shop carries. Beyond that, they move to the 9000. There might be some 8000, but they're a different size. So essentially, the biggest difference with this is the thickness as opposed to a 5000. I think there is a little difference in length. Yeah, no, the length is about the same. So I will show you how to fit this in there to have a very nice extended amount of time to drive. Anyways, I just wanted to cover that very, very quickly, that we were able to accomplish that, and I'm going to show it to you in here in a very, very long drawn out video, but I think you'll really enjoy all the technical side of it. I'm way too technically inclined, and I enjoy tearing these things apart, putting them together, and screwing with them so much. It seems that that's what my hobby is, more than driving them. I will say, though, I drove it for an hour and a half, loved the heck out of it. However, sadly, noticed some issues, and I will go over that now. So, it was running fantastic, right? These drives are really smooth. They run really good. Well, I noticed they got a little bit louder than normal, kind of like dry gear. So I was like, there's no way. I just put oil in these, and we just started running them. I think it ran for about an hour and a half. I did about 2 runs. And yeah, I had some fun with it. It was cool. I was surprised at how much of the ice it could scrape, even though obviously it's going to have a hard time with really hard packed stuff, especially up here in Alaska. But it did a pretty decent job for what it is. Anyways, I noticed this almost dry gear sound. I was like, man, it's getting louder, but it's not horrible. You put it at full gear, and all of a sudden it got quiet. Well, it's probably from pulling the oil up into it. What was left of it. Well, anyways, I got finished, and I was like, okay, I'm just going to park it for the night, or for the afternoon, because I hadn't quite gotten to, it was like midday. And that's when I realized what was happening. Where it was sitting, it was actually sitting in its new little spot that I have for it inside. And there was oil all over the tracks, all over the drives, or the drives themselves, and then, of course, the rest of the track setup, and the tracks themselves is just all over. I mean, there's metal shavings in there too a little, because these, especially with the steel tracks, they're going to wear in, right? The tracks are going to stretch a little bit. I mean, you expect that. But there's oil all over it. Well, at the end of my little run session, I was planning on just taking this apart because I did put it up a hill too far and it poured oil out the back. So I already expected oil, but there was a lot all over it. There was a nice pool about like that big at the middle of the tracks, like right here, like all over it. At that point, I was like, well, something's wrong here. And then I went around the back side of it and you looked, and there was oil that leaked down out of the back, and it was all over right here. That told me that's what was leaking, which is kind of sad because I just started this. I just started running. It was a lot of fun. I just put these together. They run great, but the O-rings started leaking. What the exact reasons for that are, I don't know. I will say this: I know I took them apart and put them back together a few times. I think twice dry, just because I didn't have oil at the time and I'd just gotten them and all that. I didn't realize they would be dry when they were assembled, but of course they have to be taken apart anyways. That's and I don't think he's allowed to lubricate them before they get shipped. I think that's illegal. So it makes sense why he did that. Not exactly my favorite thing in the world, but you know, it is what it is. He's very good at what he does. His equipment is awesome. I will tell you, these run fantastically. But the O-rings failed. So luckily I got a ton of them in, because I ordered a bunch of them once we figured out what size they were. And hopefully we'll get her back together tonight and running and no more leaks. Yeah, that's pretty much the goal with that. And we will get to that here in a little bit. Once I get that, you know, you guys have already seen all of that, so I'll probably do that off of camera. And we'll check on it, make sure everything works, and then have the other side to do too. Sadly, on both of them, the inside seals are what blew. So they got oil all over the stuff. But then we'll also be taking the dozer mid part apart when I'm done with that, and I'll be going through all the electronics and stuff. And so I will probably cut the camera off, do the drive unit for a while, and then once I'm done with the drive unit, the drive units, I will probably move into doing all this stuff, explaining what I'm doing, what I did, why, how, all of that stuff. Anyways, I just wanted to do a quick jump in, show you what I had going on. Yes, I had failure on both sides. Yes, they leaked out the back seals. But there's a lot of reasons that can happen. Sadly, with oil-filled stuff, you will get seal leaks more so than grease usually. However, they are quieter, they are smoother. In my opinion, it's much better, especially with the brushless motor. I'm not unhappy with any of the quality or anything. I think it just, life happens sometimes, and it probably was a misinstall. I did everything I was supposed to, but if they were already, the surface was already kind of marred, I mean, they are very soft, that could have caused that to happen. They didn't do it at first, so it did happen after it was running. So again, it could have been anything. But anyways, I wanted to cover that and make sure I made the point that these are really, really good. It had nothing to do, I don't think, with the parts, other than the seal itself. And another thing to note is, if you are curious if your oil is low on these, if you do have them, I know there's only a few out there, but on here is this guy right here. That's your mark. You put it at halfway either side, and if oil's not right there about to or dribbling out, you're low. One of mine, I pulled the plug off and ran it to the bottom, and it still wasn't leaking out. The other one, right at the bottom, it started leaking out. So that's how I figured out that they were low on oil. Not that most people wouldn't figure that, but why not say it? I think the whole thing is impressive, and we'll get her back together and running the same, but hopefully no seal problems. All right, you guys have a good one, and I will see you here again shortly once I get through the drive units. Thanks.